Hello, everybody. So I am doing another live stream, and this time I've got a few people that are doing a lot of sorts, and um, we've been teaching how to use Maya. We've been teaching how to do UVs and how to do modeling, but they still are not too sure. Hey, what's the best way to make a sword, or what steps should we do with a sword? And I might do a few sorts with my videos, but I wanted to do something that is perhaps a little bit simpler and it's not too hard. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I do the sword from the Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time? This is the Kohiri sword, so it is super basic. Uh, Maybe too basic for most of you. Like this would be like a very beginner's. All right, so how could I do something that's basic like this? However, I'm gonna do it in 4 parts, and all of these bolts as well, and this jewel can be like maybe the 5th part. It's gonna be pretty easy, and I think after this, we could do it together for fun. And afterwards, the next future videos, we can do something a bit more complicated. But I'm going to do the whole process. I'm going to do 3D modeling. I'm going to do UVs. I'm going to do the high poly to low poly workflows. And then we're going to do the texture with the baking and perhaps some presentation. Let's see how far we go tonight. What I'm going to do is I already got a Pure F, and I really like this as a guide to use for my model. So I'm just gonna save this out, and for starters, I'm just gonna do a set a project. I'm gonna set the project somewhere that is gonna do projects, props. I'm gonna do a new folder in here called, I don't know, 26. It's, or whatever. I'm just giving it a random. Gonna call this, I don't know why I give it that name, but here we are. So call this Kohiri Sword. Okay. And in here, I'm just gonna start a new Maya project and press set. Okay. Give me a second. Let's do project window. We're starting with something very exciting already. So let's go Kohiri Sword, Maya, select, set project. Cool. We got a new project. The first thing is always scale. So we got a little child with us. So I'm just gonna put in here this guy here for now. Oh my god, not that one. Let's do this one there. There you go. So we got now a human. And so we're gonna pretend like I remember that Zelda was like this big, so the sword is pretty small. So we're gonna go on the front view. And we're gonna put that image. So I'm just gonna go press on this image plane. And I don't know where I saved this guy, so I'm just gonna go save, export selected image. And yeah, I'm just gonna select that same location with the props. I do have a lot of projects. I'm gonna put this in my source images in here. Give me a second. Go here, sort. If for some reason the image was not loading up. Because I did not export it yet. Export it. There you go. Cool. So we got the sword there. Now, ideally, whenever you're working with anything 3D, like a prop or anything like that, and this was a little kid sword, so I'm just gonna make something that's like that big. Always try to work as close as possible with making things in the center of the world, and this is because it's going to make anything when you do with mirror and stuff like that a lot easier. And the pivot point would be more or less here in the middle, wherever your hand is going to hold on the sword, that's where you want to start, right? And we're going to do the first stage of this. We're going to do the block out, right? So the block out is when you do everything at a very rudimentary level. You don't put too much detail. So I'm just going to start here, for example, with a cylinder. I like always to do everything in eighths. And I'm going to work pretty fast. So I'm just going to move that there, move this down here. I'm going to make that scale this much. Okay, cool. So that's already the first part. Then I'm going to do a cube that moves down here. I'm going to subdivide. Actually, I'm going to move that cube there for a second. I'm going to hide this with this cube. This is just my favorite way to do spheres. So if I go smooth this a couple of times, and I'm going to use a deformer in here that I'm a huge fan of, which is called, with this deformer, it's called the Sculpt, and it's going to make things very circular. I'm going to delete the history with this one, move this down, make it big. Cool, we've already got that last one there. We can delete this part in here. This is where we can now grab these edges, move and scale that up, push that in, and I'm just gonna connect these components, connect, and scale that in. And I'm already pretty okay with that. And maybe just give a very slight bevel here. So we got that guy in. Cool. Gonna soften all those. Nice. So if I go and hide this, and this is why whenever you are blocking out these things, you know, that it's very easy to get a bit too caught up with making too many details. You want to simplify things. I might, from the image and the reference in here, yeah, we can worry about this detail later. I want to get a bit more closer to the original than whatever this free thing is. Now, this is just for me to know where to place things kind of quickly, but I want to get closer to this and like even, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get too distracted. I might do the sword next. The sword is going to be super easy. So this is a technique that I've been showing with everybody in my class. So I'll just go rotate that 45 degrees. Then I'll just freeze the transforms, flatten like this. Let's go front view. And let me see if I've got anyone in my stream. Oh. It is complaining. Damn it. Well, too bad. This will be recorded, I guess, and then it'll be fine. So I'm just gonna go in here, vertex, pull that up. And with this one here, I'm gonna push all the way down here. Cool. And in a second, so if I go face mode, I'm gonna extrude that out and push that to here. And with these three guys in here, just gonna connect those and maybe pull it out this way. Okay, so that's our block out in a way for this part. This here that's doing this triangulation kind of thing, I cannot see that in the original. And for this part here, we can just like maybe move that down for now. And yeah, this triangulation kind of a thing, I'm not too sure how I would do it. But if I connect this guy's in here, And if I go to the front view and I go to the wireframe mode, can push that all the way down there. I can just go target weld tool to connect this one to this one here, and then this one to this one. And then what I can do, if I go delete these two edges, now that is turned into a triangle, right? And I can do the same. This one there, so that's now a whole thing. But I'm not a huge fan now that this is like flat like that, so I might bevel this. Or actually, I might go front view and do a cut with multi-cut. But I'm gonna do it straight. Not that way. This way. And this way I will cap this guys with a fold. And just connect with these vertices here. Just go connect, shift, right click, connect. Okay, cool. So now we've got a very thin thing, I guess. So we go front view now. Yeah, we got that. Cool. All right, so I think this is a good block out of the sort. We got some weird angles. Well, not angles, like we got a gigantic triangle there. We got this guy here. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a bevel of this part here with a few segments just to give it a bit of curvature. And I think that's enough. And I might move this guy a little bit more like that. Something like that could be enough. Cool. So the next part I'm gonna do is this part here, but you see how it's got this curvature that goes down and then it goes like that. So I might do this as a box. So this is the one part that I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna do that part, but it's very easy. But at the same time, it isn't, because it's got this curvature that goes in here, and then it's got this curve kind of a thing. So what I was thinking is to extrude this out. And I'm just gonna squish this like that, maybe. And what I'm gonna do in here is I'm just gonna give a few divisions. So if I connect that and I go, cool, just gonna give. I'm gonna give it a lot of divisions. I can always reduce that later. I'm gonna use a connect. Press enter. Cool. I'm gonna give this a bend modifier. So I'm just gonna go in here, nonlinear, bend, and I'm gonna do the bend from this angle in here. I'm gonna go front view. And this is where I might, experiment a little bit and see if this works or not. I got a feeling it might not work. It might be fine. So if I go curvature like this, I can go cool. So that's cool. Maybe something like that. And then move that this way. So it starts from here. And yeah, this is the part that I was like, is it going to work or not? We can figure it out in a second. Yeah, this is the part that I was like, oh yeah, this is where I was thinking maybe it will work or not. Maybe. Yeah, so this is the part that maybe I'm a bit confused about this. I might eyeball it and do this by hand instead. So I'm just gonna go rotate this 90 degrees this way. Okay, let's hope if this is a good way to do this. Oh. Let's do this by hand, so let's go. I'm sure there would have been a much cleaner way to do this. I'm not... So what I'm gonna do is... I'm gonna remove all of that stuff. And I'm going to set this as a... Gonna set this as straight as possible. Okay. And the way that I'm gonna do this... Cool. So I'm gonna do this with bevel, but I'm gonna do bevel with a bit more control. So if I go front view, I'm gonna do bevel of exactly 6 intervals, but it's going to only affect this stuff here. I'm gonna hide this guy because this guy is getting in the way. And I'm gonna go back to this cube. Gonna go, cool, just gonna put that completely there. So if I go edge mode, which is that edge, if I go bevel, I will do exactly 6, but I'm gonna follow perfectly to that, and then I'm gonna do the same here. Cool. I'm gonna do bevel with this part here, and I'm gonna do again 6, but this is the part where I'm gonna go to the maximum as much as possible. I think that's gonna be as close as I can, and then I'm gonna push some of those guys as close as possible to that. So annoying. Cool. And then I'm gonna bridge each of those guys one by one. So I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like that. Huh. Maybe. So if I go bridge. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bridge. Cool. That will do it. And then I'm gonna add another. Bridge that as well. And this is the part where I'm gonna recommend that we do a connect the components here. And now we got that as a piece, and I might do a little bit of tweaking here to flatten those areas a little bit. Yeah, this is the part where I might do a little bit of slide with this one here, just to like average that a little bit better. So average a bit that, just to clean it up. Okay, and I think I'm pretty happy with that shape to match with that. This is the part that I might make sure that this guy here sits exactly in the middle. Cool. And I'm gonna start with this thing in here. I'm gonna do a mirror on the wall 3 times. So I'm gonna go a mirror on the Z axis. Well, also the X axis, I guess. And I'm gonna do another mirror again in the back. Gonna press G. And then I'm gonna go to the Z axis. Perfect. So now we got both of those sides, okay? So now this is our block out with all the different pieces. Okay? So, which is, it almost looks like, it doesn't look like a block out anymore. It looks like, it's almost like the finished thing. I might stop the stream for a second, because I think I've got some technical problems. And then I'm gonna see what the problem is with the streaming, and then I'll come back in a second. Is there a way to go off live and come back to the same stream? Because that would be great. Instead of making a separate video. I don't know why some